You are listening to the Bravo Creative Podcast, hosted by Tom Baker. Thank you for listening. Your position has been triangulated. Drone army has been dispatched to your location. Commencing attack run in 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome. You are listening to the Bravo Creative Podcast, and we're at episode 14. Yay! And I want to thank each and every one of you for listening, and let me just apologize for the lack of an episode last week. And that was a lack of an episode with zero notification. Last week was a trial for me and my family, or ice or snow or whatever you want to call it. But last week we were moving from one house to the other, and it was absolutely crazy. And we were met with obstacles at every step of the way of this moving process in February. And if I could give any bit of advice to my audience out there, is don't do it unless you are fully prepared to have your butt kicked in the process, because we really did get our butts kicked. But we made it through it, at least the hardest part, knock on wood. And so we are at the new place, and it's great. And we love the new place, and I have already found my little fortress of solitude in this awesome little field on the back part of our property. And I may do a podcast from up there in the coming weeks once it dries up and warms up a bit. Today's episode is brought to you by going all in. Sometimes you just got to lay your ears back and go at it. And it's not going to get any easier. And you can't always play it entirely safe, but you just got to go all in. The Bravo Creative Podcast is being jettisoned out to you by the means of Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Prime, Audible, and it is also shared out through the Bravo Creative Podcast Facebook page. And if you want to see when every one of them comes out, which is typically on Wednesday, you can go out and like that page and share it out with all your friends. And the podcast is linked directly at www.bravocreative.net/Bravo Podcast. Like and share if you love what you're hearing here. And that is always, always appreciated. So let's get to my guest today. And my guest today, I've wanted to have him on since the podcast started. And it's just been a matter of getting schedules and getting people all lined up, which is the hard part of the podcast, which nobody ever tells you about. But he's a busy man, and he has a wealth of knowledge in film and special effects, and he is the owner of Studio 2060. I want to welcome to the microphone the lovely, the beautiful Mike Strain.
Hello.
How are you?
I waited for you to unmute me there. I don't know about beautiful, or lovely.
You shaving today. You look good. You got rid of your handlebar mustache.
It's kind of that man of 1,000 faces.
Was it kind of a pain in the butt to have the handlebars?
Especially when you sleep, because it's always in your mouth.
Does it tickle your face?
Oh my gosh.
I can't deal with it, quite honestly. I mean, that's the number one reason why I shave like a mustache or a beard off, is because I get so cotton picking sick of just having like a little tickle on my face.
Yeah, you just have to deal with it. After about a week, you just like forget it.
You probably feel naked now, because you had that thing for a while, didn't you?
I did. I usually 2 or 3 months I'll keep something, and then now I have a bald upper lip completely.
You get tired of it and get rid of it.
I do. I like to change it up. This is kind of my only little thing I do.
So what have you been up to lately?
Nothing. Oh, always trying to do stuff. Of course we did the music video shoot, which.
Yeah, can we talk about that a little bit?
We can.
Yeah.
It's right now. Madison is editing the videos. There's 2 videos in one. He's editing both of those. And I've been cutting together the behind the scenes, the making of, and
Oh, I need to give you that footage today, don't
Yes.
I? Yes.
I completely forgot to bring my thumb drive that I set.
I
next to my
have
computer.
one here for you, so you can take it with you.
So I already have it all done, except for adding your behind the scenes photos, and we're doing 4 more little interviews, and
Oh, cool.
it's going to be like 25 minutes long.
This is going to be longer than the video, right?
Yeah, yeah, but it's fun. All the.
Well, let's just fill everybody in and actually what it was. So you guys got with Jennifer Battelle, and you guys made a music video for an original song that she put out.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
And so talk a little bit about that concept, how that concept came up. We did this little music video. It was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
I'm bad with dates. I don't know. I always say the other day, and my wife.
I think it was, I want to say it was about 4 weeks ago is when it happened now. Isn't it?
It was been a little while.
So I came in, I had a little part in it, had a cool part. I played it, and it's kind of a jazz number, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of I mean, it's the film noir base.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has a little bit of a jazzy feel.
It's a little music video that we put together. Talk about that concept, how that came up.
It was Jennifer. I mean, all Jennifer Buttel's idea. It's her, like you said, her original song, and she just contacted us and said, "Hey, I want to do this." She had written the script, had a shot list, the whole thing lined out, and when we got it, the script and everything was good, her ideas and stories, but the shot list was nothing like we'd ever seen.
Right.
Because, I mean, just the way Madison does his own stuff. So we kind of had to revamp it. And I'm like, great, it's a music video. So as we got to talking and working on it, as we got even closer, we realized that, it's actually 2 videos and they kind of work together. So it's a music video, but there's also like a short film involved. So it's like the week before, Madison based it all out and realized all that, and then it's like, okay, so we've got twice the work now to do, but we just base it out of the 2 different days. So, and I think
now, when you say it's 2 videos in one, there is a 1940s noir kind of feel to one, and then there's a little bit more of a new age kind of look.
a little more modern day.
Modern
yeah.
on the second one.
Yeah, so it's the music video is a standalone, just Jennifer singing the whole music video, but then there's a short film that the video goes into that tells the story of the song, kind of a thing.
And Madison directed it.
Yes.
Studio 2060 went in and did all you guys basically built the set.
Right.
And
the sign.
And the sign, which turned out awesome. It looked really
That was
great.
a 1-day build.
Yeah. And we'll share out a link with some of that stuff on there that people can go out and look at.
Yeah, because I did start a public B group.
That's
that we
right.
have some stuff on. So.
And then let's see, we had David Watson lensed it.
Yes.
And let's see, who else do we have on that?
His trusty sidekick, Tyler.
We had Tyler Foreman on that. Howie worked on it as kind of a PA. Slate. Who else?
Kong
did sound on it, yeah. And then we had some dancers. That was really cool.
Yeah, that was the one thing. Madison was like, I don't know, it's like, I've never done like this kind of dance. He's like, I'm not sure. And then when we actually got into it, he's like, this is like the coolest thing I've.
Yeah, it was fun.
He's like, this is great. I'm like, it's going to be great for your reel
Yeah.
to expand beyond what you like. And he's just like, and then work with Jacob Deck, which was the choreographer. We weren't really sure, because we'd never done dance stuff before. And Madison worked with him real close hand in hand. And I mean, it turned out great. It looks really cool. So
that's awesome.
And then of course the effects that him and David are doing in post with the coloring and stuff, where it's going to be black and white with color highlights and stuff. So.
And some of the stars that we had in it, we had the beautiful Aline O'Neill was in it. Of course. The Curtis Stout,
the beautiful Curtis Stout.
The beautiful Curtis Stout was in it, and then I was in it, and of course Jennifer was in it. Yes. Jennifer Battelle.
Star.
Let's see who else.
And then it was. I'm trying to remember their names. I mean, the band, everybody.
Yeah, we had a little 3-piece band group up there.
Everybody else was friends of Jennifer's through like Stained Glass Theater.
Okay.
And that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I had never met them.
We'll link out. At the moment, we are a loss for what their names were. We were on set for 2 days filming. We filmed the noir piece first, and then we filmed the modern piece on day 2.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think what was it, 14 hours the first day and
It was 14
like
hours,
9
yeah.
hours the second
Yeah.
day. So we made up the second day.
Yeah. It was a fun shoot. It was a lot of fun.
It was.
The location that we were at was perfect for that. It was actually, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, it's a location that we rented through our church. It's a facility that they set up and distribute food out of, and it's an old grocery store. So the area that we set up and built the set in, sorry, I'm not close enough, was the original, I guess it was the pharmacy, but it looks like a little coffee shop.
Yeah, it does.
Because the colors are wild. So we ended up using that as kind of the base, and it worked out great.
Yeah, it did. And then we had Brad,
Of course.
the lighting master. He was there. And I think we talked about it on a previous podcast when David and Ducon were here. We talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, I've listened to all your podcasts, by the way.
Oh, well, thank you.
Couple of them a couple of times. Just
Which one's a couple times?
well, David and Ducon for sure. I mean, whenever I'm like writing or editing or doing something to where it's just need a break, I'll just put it on and just listen, and then I'll stop it because I can't pay attention to what I'm doing, and then I listen for like an hour. I'm like, oh, I gotta get back to work now.
I'm curious, and I've not asked anybody this yet before. I was thinking about doing something where I could actually ask out there to the listeners, but maybe I'll do it now. Has there been anything that you have heard on any of the podcasts that has kind of inspired you or changed your mind about something up till now? Or did you know all of it?
I don't know anything. I'm just a little Missouri boy that wants to make movies. I don't claim to know anything, because when you do, that's when it gets you in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
Like, do you know how to shovel gravel? Oh, yeah.
No.
Like, yeah.
Never done it before.
You know how to hang drywall? Yeah, no. Don't do anything. I'm just a hermit. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Like the podcast with Tim. I don't know his last name.
Michaelek, yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
His drone stuff. I mean, we have Tyler. Tyler's an amazing drone pilot, does beautiful cinematic stuff, but what Tim does is kind of on the other end of the spectrum with the race drone stuff. And
did you see the one that he put out just the other day?
I did. So
if you Tim and I think I posted something out there, but that shot where he goes through that bridge,
yeah,
and I'll try and link it if I can find it, but that stuff that he does on that thing is just phenomenal.
My question was, who's the people walking around in the trucks?
I know.
And did they know what was going on?
It was going to be flying over, like he's going to buzz that truck. Yeah, it was awesome. No, that's cool. And as just for my listening audience out there, if there's anything that you have heard on the podcast that's like inspired you or changed your mind about something, feel free to send a message. I know that my guests would love to hear, anything and everything that maybe their little nugget of information that inspired you or got you up off your butt and decided to get you to go do something. But that's always makes you feel good knowing that you are kind of a change agent for people. And speaking of, I mean, working with you the last couple years and seeing how much work and how much time and effort that you put in, and we haven't even gotten to talking about that stuff yet, but with like what you do and with what Madison does and Lily does, you guys just kind of go all in and make it happen, and that's just an awesome thing to see, especially from it's a family affair for you guys, and that's really awesome to see that you all are kind of syncopated in that realm.
It's always been that way, and I've always wanted it to be that way. We've had issues on a few films in the past over the last 20 years where I would bring Madison to set because he was in the shop at home. If I didn't have somebody to help me, he was 10 or 11, and I had him sculpt a severed head neck stump for a film.
A severed head neck stump.
He might have been 12. And it's in the movie VHS, the first VHS movie.
Oh, okay.
But he's done stuff ever since he was 5 or 6, helped me build props and stuff, and whatever I need, or just get him to work on it. If nothing else, base it out,
right,
and then I'll finish it. But always having my family on set was, a big comfort and a lot of help because they knew what I needed. Lily's always there to help kind of produce or run and get stuff for me. Madison's just an assistant, and now, of course,
and she makes good food, too, while you're on set.
That's the one thing is we're not able to pay everybody always full price what they're worth because we know, I mean, we want to be paid more, and everybody
Right.
else does, but it's like at least we can overfeed you,
Oh,
that kind of
yeah.
thing. So
The only problem is after you're done eating, you want to take a nap.
yeah, back to work.
Actually, when we did Buzz and Bee, I was getting ready to leave, and Lily walks up to me with this big bucket of apples
Yeah.
that were with craft service. She's like, "Here, you need to take these apples." And I'm like, "I don't know what to do with them." She goes, "I don't know, just take them." So I took them, and on the way home, I called my mom. I said, "Hey, do you need any apples?" And she goes, "Well, yeah, I can make you apple pie with them if you want." I was like, "Sweet."
Yeah.
And so I took them out to Mom's.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's what we do, because anything we have left over, it's like distributed out, because Lily, I mean, she does a ton of stuff. She cooks for our church every Sunday, but she also cans and does a lot of food preservation stuff and teaches.
Oh, that's great.
And so our basement, you have to come over to our
Yeah.
house sometime. I think you've been over
Yeah,
once.
I've been
but-
over a couple of times. Yeah.
But our basement is full of, one side of our basement is empty jars, the other side is full food, and friends and family, especially when they have times of need, if somebody moves and they need food or
Sure.
do something. On Christmas, our immediate family for Christmas, it's like, come over, she has a plastic basket, and it's like, go downstairs, just pick what you want. That's your Christmas gift.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, and it's hundreds of dollars of food because she spent so much money and time doing it, but she loves it. So, and I just, support her and help her and build her shelves and whatever she needs.
So talk to us a little bit about Studio 2060 and kind of your beginnings in it, because you've been doing this for a long time.
I started in 1987, 86.
So you were like 6 or 7 years old then, right?
Yeah, about 5. I was in 87. What was I? 16? No, 18. I was born in 71. I know.
Yeah.
I'm old. Anyway, so I started out. I don't know if you want to go all the way back, but I started out in 87 and got hired to do Rescue 911, the TV show.
Oh, okay.
And my anxiety and nerves got me so bad that I almost didn't go do it, because I'm like the Marty McFly of, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are just like, I don't know, can I do this? Am I good enough? And I've been doing it for so many years, and it's like, just shut up. I mean, I hear somebody in the back of my head just goes, just shut up and go do it. You can do it.
Right.
And I'm that way. I'm just like, I don't know, is it going to work? And then get on set and everybody's just like, that's beautiful. It's great. And I'm like, I knew I could do it. And, when I'm doing it though, it's just like, oh my God, it's not going to work,
Does that still happen to you?
every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's
just easier to get through now.
It is a little bit, and then I pick and choose what I want to do now. I used to do everything. Every time somebody come to me with a project, I did everything. So, I mean, that's part of why now I have 77 feature film credits. 'Cause I would just do everything, and probably 25 of them you'll never see or hear of because they were so bad or they've never been finished, or I mean, it's that kind of stuff. So, but I did everything. I mean, we were with groups of people doing film stuff, and everybody did their own job locally. And, somebody called me from like Kansas City to come up and make a monster, and people were like, well, they don't have any money, don't go do it. I'm like, I want to do it, so I would do it, and, barely have enough money to scrape what they needed. Sometimes I'd put my own cash in it, just like, well, need some better eyeballs, and I would just buy stuff. But
So how did you learn to do all that stuff though? Did you just like trial by error?
trial by error. I was born artistic. I was, had a God-given talent that I inherited from my grandfather and my dad, just to be able to draw. I had an uncle that was a portrait artist. He used to work at Silver Dollar City, and my dad built and made stuff all my life and that kind of thing. And
So you just grew up around it,
Yeah.
and it just kind of osmosis on you.
yeah, all the tools, everything, and it's just like, just get out and do it. And now our saying with stuff we do, and I've hopefully passed it on to Madison, that all you got to do is try, and all I can say is no. Just get out and do it. And because even in the 80s when I was a kid with like the biggest makeup artists, because I started as a makeup artist first doing makeup effects, like Tom Savini and Dick Smith and those guys, and I found their phone number at MSU used to have a research library area, and they had books that had all these guys, I don't know why, had everybody in Hollywood and New York's numbers in it. So I would get their number, and I would just it would take me a week to plan it out, write out my questions, and then I would set it, and I would call at like 10 o'clock or like 1 o'clock. I wouldn't call in the morning, wouldn't call at lunch, so like I could get through half time. And I would call and just ask them questions. And most of the time back in the day, they would answer it, and they're just like, hello. And like, I'm so-and-so from Missouri, and just, I was a kid, and like, I want to ask you some questions. And they were great. They would tell me, like Dick Smith, who was the godfather of makeup. He goes, "You have pen and paper?" And I go, "Yeah, I'd be ready." And he's like, "All right," because I was doing Rescue 911. We had actors going in the water, and I had to do mustaches and beards on them. So, of course, everybody's just like, well, it's spirit gum and crepe hair. Well, if you put spirit gum and crepe hair, put a beard on, it looks cool. When you get in the water shocks the spirit gum. It turns white, and you can see it. So I called Dick Smith, and he's like, "Well, I'll give you 3 techniques." And he just started rambling them off, and I was trying to write. I was on the phone trying to write with one hand. And
that was back when you had like a corded phone.
Yes. So I'm trying to hold that, trying to hold the paper. The dog's on me. I'm, sister's yelling. So doing stuff. And his was, fishing line, get the small fishing line.
And you probably found out about these guys from like Fangoria magazine back in the day.
Yeah, and all the movies.
Yeah.
The little bit of behind the scenes that they used to have.
Because there was no internet, so you didn't know who it was that did it. So you were going to get. I remember getting those magazines when I was a kid and going, "Man, that stuff's just cool." That was just.
Yeah, and Tom Savini, Fangoria, and they were all in those. And then Tom Savini actually wrote a couple of books that came out. Of course, I ordered them and used to go to the local magic shop and buy quarts of latex. And the guy at the magic shop was like, "Do you know what that is?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "What are you going to do with it?" And so I'm going to make prosthetics. And he goes, "How do you do that?" I was like, "Just sell me the stuff and I'll come back and I'll show you." And then I took them back and I sold prosthetics that I bagged in baggies at the magic shop for a while.
Really?
Yeah. And then the guy ended up closing up, stealing everything. I mean, it's just the way it was. It was, they're just like, "I don't have any money. I'm gone." Because doing stuff locally, whenever you need something, like I have a friend of mine that lives in Florida. It's an effects guy, big guy, done a lot of big movies. And, you ask him, like, doing propane lines and stuff. I don't want to give too much away, but like you use certain things because everybody uses copper line. Well, he uses hydraulic hose because it's stronger, it's flexible, you can reuse it. But the butane and the propane eats the lining. So when you go locally and go, "Hey, I need a 100-foot propane hose or hydraulic hose," and like, "What do you run through?" It's like propane. They're like, "I can't sell you that." So you just go to them and tell them, I'm building a rig for the front of my tractor. Okay, no problem. You can't tell people what you're doing with it because they won't sell you stuff where they're just like, "Are you an idiot? What are you doing?"
Right.
It's like, no, it's just, it's the industry.
I've seen one of your rigs like that. But I don't think it was a propane hose.
Which one?
It was the one we were jumping through that one night.
Jumping through. Oh, when you guys were at the studio after the get together.
Yeah.
I think it was just a copper line.
That was just a copper line.
Yeah. It was a steel pipe. It's a flame bar that I've
flame bar. That's what it
grooves
is.
cut in.
Yeah.
And it runs to a copper line and all that. So
it's super cool looking.
It's fun, and you're running off propane. I can raise. With those little tanks, I can raise it up to 4 feet high, and you can play in it. And then, but if you lay the tank down with the old tanks, the new tanks have the check valve.
The check
People
valve.
are probably bored, like, what are they talking about? But if you used to be able to lay the tank down, and they would run liquid through it, and it would do a 15-foot flame.
Don't try this at home. This Mike is a trained professional, licensed professional. This is not something to do for your next Sato film or anything like that without having someone trained.
Some kind of guidance, and don't just watch YouTube videos and go, "I've got it."
Don't do that.
Because the biggest one is kids pouring gas on themselves and lighting it. Because it soaks into your clothes and it burns into your skin. There's no way to stop it.
And we'll talk about body burns here later on. Yeah. So go back. So and I want to touch on something that you were just talking on, and it interests me. I've talked to a few people, and it feels like it's a trend because I've gone through it as well myself. But it's that undeniable urge to not do something because you're going to fail at it or do very badly at it. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious, like, what is that process? And you kind of talked on it, but I've talked to David Watson. I've talked to him. He went through it too. I know I've gone through it whenever we did like Pushing Envelopes and we worked on the buddy cop film. There's that urge of, I don't want to do this because I'm going to fail miserably and I'm going to just absolutely suck on it. And then I talked to a couple other cinematographers here recently. I won't name their names because I don't know if they're cool with talking about it yet. but they said the same exact thing that you just said. And that is, I think that the solace in that is that we all go through it. And especially when you're going to put it out there for the masses to look at.
Right. Especially today, in today's day and age.
Yeah, because there's so many critics out there.
Right. Everybody's a critic.
And let me tell you about those critics out there. 98.999% of those critics out there don't know what they're talking about sometimes.
Get out.
Yeah, get out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really easy to criticize. It's really, really excruciatingly hard to go out there and do.
Right. And the worst people that I had help me do when I used to run a film festival back in the day, and I had people that I would get that I trusted that had good opinions on film, and they were very knowledgeable, and have them help me judge films. And I would, had a whole paper layout, and they just fill it out 1 to 0 or 1 to 10, what you like, and they would just bash every project. When I got the reports back from them, I'm like, it's not what I want. I just want an honest. And they're like, they're just so terrible. And then I realized, oh, these guys have never on their own ever made anything.
Film,
yeah, they've never done it. So they never suffered on the set and realized this is a lot of work. And these guys did pretty dang good for what it is. Instead, they're just like, they were comparing it to like a Michael Bay film. They're just like, this is terrible. I'm like, no, it's not. This is great.
Michael Bay had millions of dollars to put at it too.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Right.
Well, that's why people like all the superhero movies now. Everybody compares everything to that. And it's just like, no.
15 writers, you know. There's so many heads that are working on those things, and they've got a system. They've got how many test screenings do they go through before they even release it? And that brings me to another point. So was it a couple weeks ago we had the second screening of the Vincent's Vow, kind of the second pass of the premiere, which I had me and Michelle and our son Sam had the privilege of getting to go see. I loved that film.
Yeah.
I loved it. I'm sure there were some rough edges. Sure there were some quirky parts in it, but that's what I loved about it.
All right.
And I loved just the simple fact that, it was done. It was up on the screen.
All right.
And a lot of that, I would say, and like David Watson came up to me and goes, oh yeah, this shot, I didn't like this shot, or I didn't like this shot. And I was like, I didn't even notice it. Right. And I'm a stickler for that stuff, but I enjoyed watching that film. And I thought you guys did an outstanding job on that.
I appreciate that
film. You guys should really be proud. And I know that you guys have talked about having multiple edits to it and stuff like that. Right. But that was a great experience to watch that and see what you guys, there was a lot of love put into that film.
Oh yeah.
And it was really amazing. It was amazing to see that finished product, and I had so much fun watching it. My wife and I, we sat and talked about it for 2 or 3 days after it, and my son even talked about it, and it was like, that's what you want a film to do.
Right.
You want to start, it's like you look at a couple things that the characters, I wonder why he did that,
Right.
And some person looks at it as being goofy. I looked at it and thought, well, it was different and it was kind of cool. And I really, really enjoyed the film. And that night afterwards, because we were in the beginnings of the ice storm, I think, that were coming then. And we had to leave early. And so I had to send some text messages out to people afterwards. But yeah, I was super happy.
We left that night, and I was like, I saw you kind of pass, and because we were all kind of taking pictures and saying congrats and things. And then we got home, and I was like, I didn't say bye to Tom. I'm like, and then of course it goes right into, was he mad at me? He didn't say anything. He just but it was the ice storm. Everybody's just trying to get home.
Yeah.
No, I'm very proud of the film. Dukan worked very hard. I don't want to say he about killed all of us trying, but we spent a lot of time. And I don't know if it was, did he say final 27, 29, 30 days? I
think he said 27, but then there was a couple pickup days.
There was a lot of pickup days. So, I'm very proud of it. It was for sure a passion project for him. And we just, like you said, with Lily and I, with doing the B video shoot with Madison, our kind of philosophy is every time you do a project, do it like it's a big budget feature film with the food, with production, with the gear, everything we have. Just like drag it all out. And like, I haven't used this in 5 years, but it does a cool little shot for one clip, and it's like nobody else is doing it. Let's just do it.
Yeah,
and we did that. I mean, with Ducon, with Vincent's Vow, with Brad. I mean, it's the same, pretty much a lot of the same group that shot the B video, are kind of our group, our clique that works together.
it was, and we talked about that. I think on I think it was the podcast with David Watson and Ducon. We talked about how there is this little group that started from Vincent's Vow that really enjoys working together on projects, and it just kind of started from that experience, that trial by fire of Vincent's Vow that got us to where we are now, which is awesome.
Yeah, because we all click and work really well together. It takes usually, I mean, like any production, usually takes like the second day to get in the rhythm and then go. Because I know they did the proof of concept for Vincent's Vow, and we shot fireworks for it. And then they came back, Ducon came back and asked us to help produce it. And I said, well, who's shooting it? And he said, well, I don't know, I'm trying to find a DP. And I said, well, how come you're not having David shoot it? And he's like, well, he doesn't have feature film experience. And I told him, I said, if he can shoot the feature like he did the proof of concept, said it's golden. And then and
he did great on it.
He did awesome. And the naysayer thing, because we were on set and he's just like, I don't know. And I'm just like, dude, you're amazing. And it's just give him the confidence and like help him. And he hated it. Help him strap on that Steadicam. Let's go.
Yeah. You know, and that's the thing that I've said it a million times on here. That process is inherently just impossible. Of making a film. It's impossible, and it is rife with nothing but complication after complication. And the best thing we can do for each other, you know, even as a viewer, and is to appreciate, you know, whatever everybody's doing on that stuff, and just build up that confidence, because I mean, there's a million people out there going to tear you down on it.
Oh yeah.
And as a group, I think it's awesome that we have, and I think that's the nice thing about a lot of the people that I've had the pleasure of working with over the last couple of years here in Springfield, is that every one of them has been just super positive in the process, because we're kind of all in this together here in the middle of America. You know, we don't have the big studios and all that kind of stuff to throw tons of money at us. We got to kind of bootstrap it together, and I think it's a lot of fun.
It was. And David, I mean, we did the Buddy Cop short film, and David had already booked another job. So, I mean, we got lucky, you know, knowing or meeting you through what we did to, like, well, Tom has shot some stuff. I'm like, has he done a film? We're like, we're not sure. Let's just talk to him. And we talked to him, and you're like, oh, yeah, no problem.
I'd actually just finished Pushing Envelopes like the month before, and then we jumped in on that one. Yeah.
So we're like, you know, Tom's a good DP. Let's just have him shoot it. And I mean, we love David, and it's like now we're talking about doing more features, and it's like, who do we call, Tom or David? You know, what's going on? It's like,
call David.
Call David.
I'll act.
Well, and then you know, if nothing else as well, we'd like to have you come in and be second camera also for.
And I'll do second camera all day long. I love.
And then we do, especially with stunts and effects, we need some wild camera work for that.
Yeah.
So.
And I like moving around with the camera. I'm not a huge like sit on the tripod kind of guy. That's a David. You know, he likes to paint that shot a lot more than I do. I'm like, all right, let's just go in here and film this thing. Let's get it over with. I want to try this. You know, which the Buddy Cop was a lot of fun doing that, because Buddy Cop, which when's that coming out?
Soon. We're still polishing it, but we've held it back because of COVID and didn't want to put it out and have it kind of fade into oblivion like a lot of other stuff. And
sure.
So we're actually holding on. Hopefully the film festivals will kick back up and we can get it out, because I mean, I think it's going to do really well. Talk
about Buddy Cop. Like, give us a little bit of a background on it.
So Buddy Cop is the brainchild, it's a short film. It's the brainchild of Ray Roberson, who's an actor that we met on Vincent's Vow. It's kind of all.
And he did a phenomenal job.
He's a really good
Vincent's
actor.
Vow. He did really good.
He's in Atlanta right now, but we were doing Vincent's Vow, and I think during Vincent's Vow, he goes, hey, I have this short film idea. Would you guys be interested in shooting it? And Madison and I think we were at lunch one day, and we're like, sure. And I thought, I don't know if it'll ever come to or not. Then like the next week, I get an email from him like, here's the script. I'm like, okay, I guess we're doing this. And I guess he said he'd been working on it for 5-6 years or whatever, wanting to film it, just never able. And then his co-star in the film, Tyler, Meyer, said that they were just going to go film it on a weekend or whatever. And of course, like everything we do, we put a lot into it. And I think it's 15 or 20 minutes. It's not very long, but it's kind of an 80s throwback. We shot it directly across.
Kind of Lethal Weapon-esque.
Yeah, it's kind of got that feel. It's got that 80s buddy. It's buddy cops. It's got that banter and that feel and the goofiness and the action like movies used to have. And but we set it up and going through the script with Ray, it's just like there's no real big payoff in the end. I mean, they take care of the bad guys, but there's nothing in the end, and it's like we need to blow something up.
The coup de grace.
Yeah, because, having a pyrotechnic special effects background, we got to blow something up. And Ray's like, oh, okay. It's like, let's do it. So we did. Everybody will see it when it comes out. But it was fun.
It was fun to film.
We shot, did we do 2 days?
Yeah, well, we did 2 days of... We did 2 days of filming.
2 days of principal, and then...
2 days of principal, and then...
I had to go back and film the car, the explosion.
Yeah.
Ruin it for everybody.
You had to go back and film basically a second take.
Yeah.
On that. Yeah. Which was cool. It was, I don't know what the finished.
Have you not seen any of it?
I haven't seen any of it yet. I filmed it. I haven't seen it yet.
All right. Might have to sing you the audio. The audio is still being polished, but might have to sing you a private.
I'd love to see it. David Watson has seen it, and he sent me like little clips, like just screenshots of it. And he's like, "Oh, hey man, this looks great." I'm like, "Thanks a lot. I'd like to kind of see what I worked on there."
Yeah. No, it turned out good, and then we cut behind the scenes of making up for that too. And
oh, really?
Yeah, and then I've been doing the final credits for it, and we're like the old 80s movies, we're putting blooper clips in the credits.
Oh, cool.
And there's a couple, and it's not your fault. It's the actors do something like, there's one shot where you're handheld and you're going between the guys supposed to go to the door, and like you're going through the door, and the actor Tyler comes at you.
Oh, that's right.
And
I remember
headbutts
that.
you with the camera. It's like, so the behind the scenes stuff is, in the end, is what the credits is really funny. So
oh, cool.
And it makes you, I don't know, you just watch it, because even the making of Madison's already started cutting, and we found some music from a guy and more saxophone, like we have in the theme, and it's just like, this is really cool. It feels like it's a low budget.
It sounds to me like it's kind of like the end of all the old Burt Reynolds movies,
right?
Where they had the blooper reels at the very end.
Yeah, and that's because I don't know about everybody else, but for me, that's what makes me feel like a kid when I see those old movies, and we're like, oh, this is back in the good old days.
Oh yeah.
So like we're doing that now, and because even Madison's 22, but I didn't force him to watch. But
he grew up with an appreciation of it, though.
All those old movies, and he's just like, he goes, this is just so much fun.
That is, my son has gotten into this where he wants to watch all of my old favorite films.
That's good.
Which is an awesome feeling, because, and what's neat about it is that, like, being able to sit down with him and watch some of like we watched Planes, Trains, and Automobiles the other night. One of my favorite, kind of buddy comedy movies, in a way. John Hughes, and he laughed at all of the right spots, and it's cool to see that appreciation, especially that you have. That and see them watch it and have the same thing.
Right.
It's like we watched Die Hard one day, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, Dad, I love Die Hard."
Did you watch it during Christmas?
No. Wait, we did watch it during Christmas this year.
It's an anytime movie, but
it's an anytime movie.
Christmas movie now.
It came out in the summertime. I remember that. Yeah. So Studio 2060, we've kind of diverged a couple times. So let's get back onto it. What does Studio 2060 do?
Studio 2060 we bill it as a multimedia production facility. We have actual sound stages and that kind of stuff now, and a costume room, prop room. We have a boardroom. So we just do a little bit of everything. Everything and I say just shy of video game stuff, but we've worked with a company here in town that has a big green screen area, and we were flying the people for their video game shoots. They were doing, virtual reality.
Is this the Mickey Stone one?
No,
Mickey wasn't on this one?
Mickey was not. They got actors out of St. Louis, I think, for it.
Oh, really?
And it was VR stuff, and we put them in a fly rig that we have and raise them up off the ground, and they can flip and turn. And wearing VR goggles makes everybody nauseous. So, I mean, some of the people were pretty good with it. It was tough to, keep your stomach down. People couldn't eat when they get in these rigs because, I mean, there were people that were literally like, I got to go outside, I'm going to throw up, because I couldn't do it. There's no way wearing VR goggles in a fly harness and you have people flipping you around, because Madison and another guy were in green screen suits, and they would like lean forward like they were diving, and they would hold their ankles, and this was all being filmed live in this virtual room. It was wild, but yeah, just watching the video made me nauseous. I couldn't imagine being in the whole rig. So,
hey, if you ever need to bite, I don't get motion sickness.
No,
I was in the Navy, so that stuff doesn't bother me.
Well, I can one of these days when we set the rig up at the studio, just have you come over, and you'll do it once and go, I'll never get in that again, because it's not comfortable. Because,
the fly rig?
Yeah, because the straps are in your groin area. So I have one though that picks you up by your thighs, so it's a little more comfortable. But yeah, they're not comfortable. The last person we flew was a horror movie we did up in Jeff City, The Darkness Reigns.
Oh yeah, I had some friends that were in that.
Yeah, so I got to fly an actor for that. I don't want to be a name dropper, but
that's cool.
But it was fun, yeah.
So you guys do like your gory blood effects and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what I started in the 80s. I started doing makeup effects and monsters and that kind of stuff, and did Rescue 911, did America's Most Wanted, and then in 94 did my first feature as a makeup guy called Sinister here in town. And that's where I met my wife, Lily. She was an actress on the movie.
Oh, really?
And, yeah, she was the cellar bride, and I cut her head off in the film. So she was head over heels for me. I mean, literally.
You've been waiting a while to say that, haven't you?
Oh, gosh. And, well, actually, years ago, the news leader, we had a friend that was a reporter, and she was doing Valentine stories. And she's like, I want to do, like, quirky stories. So there was two other couples. One couple met in a car accident. They hit each other and then ended up getting married. And there was some other stuff. And then she's like, I want to tell your guys' story. So it was a picture of Lily and I from 94. Then a picture of me at the time at my shop holding a severed head of her. And it was in the Valentine's issue of the News Leader. We still have it. So
that's hilarious.
So we, started doing that stuff. Started out as a makeup guy, and then ended up branching out doing more, because makeup, not everybody needed makeup, So I started doing miniatures and models, did a lot of that, started building props, and then got into pyro, which everybody likes blowing up stuff. And I mean, it took a while to get through all the licensing and all that, but I enjoy doing it all. And then as we got older and I started getting more gear, and you've seen the studio, I have way too much stuff. I have a lot of stuff. And
you have a lot of stuff.
It's getting bad. We're going to start dealing it out to people because I've got so much. But then I started producing stuff on my own. And Lily helped me in 95. I had written my first film called Vial 21. And we actually shot it. Lily helped me. We used a lot of the same actors from Sinister. And we shot it nights and weekends, and which we don't recommend people do now. You just do it all at once, get it done. But over a period of time, and then got it finished. The creature was stop motion, which people probably don't. A lot of people don't know what that is anymore. But
Ray Harryhausen.
Harryhausen. Yeah,
Harryhausen.
But
if you don't know what stop motion is, go look at his stuff. He's kind of like the king of it. He's kind of the godfather of stop motion animation.
He is. He was the biggest animator of the time, but we did that, and then it got distributed by a guy out of New York with other films, and they ended up selling my movie to China. It got distributed to China, like Germany and Indonesia, and this was back in '96, and I was just, it was on VHS, and it was like, the people in Indonesia have VCRs. I've never been, so I didn't know, but it was kind of neat. So I mean, I've started producing my own content, doing that kind of stuff. So back in the day, I mean,
do you have like links to any of that stuff out there where people could watch any of it now, or is it kind of?
No, and Vile has become one of those that I think we produce 5,000 they made 5,000 sleeves, the VHS sleeves, and ended up only selling like 2,000. And then when my distribution deal ended, the distributor sent me back the masters and all that, and 3,000 VHS boxes, which I lost some of them, but I still have some of them.
Oh, that's
I was going to
cool.
put them on a wall in my house one day, just like, it's like, I don't know if I want to, but I still have them. And VHS has been making a big resurgence in the last couple of years. I don't know.
Has it really?
It has, with these like 20-year-old guys that are like collecting and doing all this. And so in the last 2 years, I've had about 50 people contact me and go, are you the director of Aisle 21? And it's like, yeah. And they're like, do you have a copy that I could buy? And no, I don't have any extra copies anymore. I have the cases, the sleeves. And then, like a year ago, somebody said, well, there was a copy of your movie on eBay and it sold for like $125.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, I never made that much money off of that movie. I'm like, what the heck? So after that, people contact me and like, do you have a copy of the movie? I'm like, I have the master tape and all this stuff. And I'm like, I have the original sleeves. I'm like, yeah. I said, I can sell you one. It's $100. And then they were just like, oh, I'd love to buy it. I'll pay whatever. And I was like, okay, it's $100. And they're like, why is it $100? I'm like, well, somebody said that it was on eBay for $125. And they're like, well, that's way too much. And then they don't want it. I'm like, do you want it or not? Kind of. And I thought, I'm going to try to make some money, but it's like nobody wants to pay. They want to pay $5. It's a VHS. It should be 50 cents. It's
Right.
like,
Except for the VCR that you have to keep working to be able to, because those things, you probably can't even find anybody to work on a VCR anymore, do you?
probably not, but they still sell them.
Do
You can
they?
still buy them from China, and I still have a full system, full deck.
Do you really?
And I have a VCR to DVD burner, and I still have
I mean, what
all
is
that.
the benefit of a VHS nowadays?
Just to watch.
Is it the nostalgia of it?
There's that, but there's some movies from 60s, 70s, 80s that they put on VHS that they haven't put on DVD. So unless they do reissue it, or unless you have a VCR, you can't watch it anymore.
Huh. Well, I guess that's right. Because I remember, let's see, this was a few years ago, but one of my favorite movies growing up as a kid was Monster Squad.
Oh yeah.
And they released it. It was like one that they weren't going to release on. It was on VHS, but they didn't have it on DVD, I guess. And they finally had a resurgence of a bunch of people that signed a petition, and they were able to get Monster Squad on DVD.
Right.
And yeah, now it's on there, and I have it.
It's a great film, and I'm lucky enough to, be in the film industry and be an effects guy and know some of the guys that worked on the film.
Oh,
and stuff.
really?
And I'm like, oh yeah, especially through like Facebook. Where
That merman that was in there, he was just awesome looking.
I know the guy Steve Wang, the effects guys that made that, and then Tom Woodruff, the guy that actually built it. We've been able to go to their effects shop in LA because Tom is a performer actor. They do the effects, but he also wears like the gorilla costumes and
Oh,
all the different
really?
monster suits. And he played Pumpkinhead, and I mean a lot of
That's
stuff.
cool.
So he played the Gillman in that, and
Gillman, that was his name, yeah.
So being able to go out there into their shop, and I mean they've done stuff for Aliens and Tremors, and
It's one of my favorite lines in a movie is when Fat Kid shoots Gillman,
Yeah.
and the guy goes, "Nice shot, Fat Kid." He goes, "My name is Horace."
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just thinking about stuff like that. Those little gags and taglines and nicknames and all that, how people are just like, oh my God, they're fat shaming that actor.
Yeah.
That child's like, no, it's not. Everybody's way too sensitive.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
that's why, Buddy Cops is going to be a little edgy for people.
We've lost the fun in life. Yeah,
For sure. For sure.
we'll criticize people till the day is long, but we won't make fun of anybody.
Right. So some of the stuff that we're doing, the Buddy Cops and the things like that, are going to be back to that kind of old school 80s edgy. And
So you guys have like 2 projects that are coming out here probably this year. Then Buddy Cops will be out, and then Buzz and Bee will be out that y'all been working on. Do you got any other projects kind of in the wings that you guys are looking at right now?
we do. Jennifer has already asked us to shoot another video. Won't put too much of it out, but it's kind of a different, it's a horror based kind of a thing. And
Oh, cool.
I don't know if I say Jack the Ripper time. It's
Yeah.
going to be kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then We're doing a proof of concept trailer shoot with Gayla Pruitt.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that. She messaged me and she sent a link, and I'm going to share that link out in the description. But talk about that a little bit.
The film project is called Glimmer, and it's about a woman that the film starts out. She has a child, a little girl, and then about a third of the way, halfway through the film, the woman wakes up one day to go get her child up and get her ready, and where her bedroom was is an office, and it's like she asked her husband, like, "Where's our daughter?" And he's like, "We don't have a daughter." So it's the whole premise of the film. I mean, it's a faith-based film, but it's about, you know, children and abortion and adoption, and it's got all those messages and meanings in it, and it's a pretty powerful story, and you know, and a lot of fun, and it's going to be interesting, and I think it'll help people that struggle with some of that stuff to, after we get it done, they watch it and be like, okay, I can get through it by understanding, you know, what I need to. So so we're going to do a proof of concept, which is we're going to shoot one day. We're going to shoot 3 little short scenes. It's just some visuals, some voiceovers kind of stuff, and we're going to put that out and use that to show them, hey, we can make something that's going to be interesting, that looks good, and then she's going to use that, or we're going to use that to try to raise the funds to make the feature film.
Cool,
So,
very cool. And that you're doing that like this spring, or
I think we're supposed to shoot that in like 2 weeks.
oh wow,
Hopefully, I think
so that's coming up quick.
I think it's weather based at this point, just as long as everything dries out in time.
So right now, the link that she has is to is it like an Indiegogo or
It's GoFundMe.
GoFundMe page that if you want to donate to the project,
Right.
or help fund the project, you can do it through that link. And I'll post that in the description in the end, and then we'll also post it on the Facebook link.
Right, appreciate it. Yeah, we're about a third of the way there. So, and that money goes directly to just the small production to pay to rent camera gear, because we're going to shoot it in Bolivar at a location there. And I mean, a lot of it's going to be just to feed and give everybody gas money to drive to Bolivar.
Sure.
So it's not like, oh, we're making house payments. I mean, you know,
Right.
I'm buying a new car with this, you know.
None of us are making house payments off of making films around here. That's for sure.
Yeah. So it's we've got those 2 things in the works, and then we've got, I mean, with the Buddy Cops, I mean, way in the works. We're talking about doing a feature version, so that's something that's off in the distance.
So the one that we actually filmed would be a little bit more of like a proof of concept, and this would be a little bit more of a lengthier story based off that.
Yes, yeah, it'll be an hour and a half long feature film. The one we did was, I think, 15 minutes, I think, about
20 minutes, yeah.
So yeah, we'll use it as a proof of concept to raise the funds. So, but it's its own standalone project, but the short film, the feature, will take place after the short film's time period. So
okay,
it kind of works together. So
this is kind of like a teaser for the big film.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. Yeah. So talk about you posted something the other day that interested me, and quite honestly, after seeing that you posted that, was a big reason why I kind of reached out to you to come onto the podcast, because I think it's a neat concept. It's a neat idea. I've been toying around with it myself too. It's a big reason why I started the podcast, because it was about trying, and you and I have talked about this before a couple times, is that we realized that the way to be able to start producing stuff locally and to get people noticed and to get people seen is that we just have to work together on things.
Right.
Because there isn't a huge amount of funds to be able to throw around. So we just got to go all in on things and make it work. And so it's an interesting concept, and I like where we're going with this stuff right now. So talk about kind of what was your little brainchild, what got you thinking about this?
Well, so you're talking about actually doing like the documentary kind of thing? Okay.
And there was a couple, there's another added part of it too that you were talking about some of those Land of Misfit films that are sitting out there that haven't been finished, but maybe need some help to be able to get those finished. And if you've got one out there, and we've talked to a couple of people that have been on that said, this film's out there, it hasn't been finished, it needs someone to come and edit it, or it needs someone to finish up a couple of scenes or whatever, and maybe we can get more heads on it to get that piece out there and get some air in it.
Yeah, I posted, I think, 3 different ideas of things that
Yeah.
have been in my head for a while. And that's what happens when you're snowed in your house. Is like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to put all this out. But the documentary thing is, just I've been wanting to do some documentaries. We actually went up to Lake of the Ozarks and met with a gentleman named Ronnie Rondell, who was kind of stunt royalty in Hollywood. He is one of the 3 founding members that started Stunts Unlimited, which is one of the big stunt companies in LA. And his son, R.A. Rondell, coordinated all the Matrix movies. Ronnie's done tons of movies himself. Ice Station Zebra was one that Ronnie, he did a body burn for it, and that was one of the first films that ever used air, where they wore an air tank underneath.
Because it was a long burn.
Yeah, it was a long burn. And then, Ronnie's done just tons of movies. Cannonball Run, he's done all kinds of stuff. But the big one a lot of people realize or know from him is the Pink Floyd album. The 2 guys standing shaking hands. Ronnie's a guy on fire.
And he lives at the Lake of the Ozarks.
He retired there. His family partially was originally from there. He grew up out in L.A. and lived there. And then when he retired, he moved back to Lake of the Ozarks and has a boat. And he has a barn across from his house that has all the pictures from everything he's ever done, and his stunt Taurus Awards and all that stuff, and articles and pictures from Burt Reynolds and just everything. So we interviewed him and did a kind of because there's not a lot, there's a couple things about him, a couple pictures on the internet of him, but not a lot about Ronnie. And Ronnie's one of these big stunt guys. And I posted a picture of us after we did the interview, and all these other big stunt guys in LA are like, "Oh, I'll tell Ronnie we said hi. We haven't talked to him in years." And so everybody's interested. And I said, "Well, we're doing a documentary about him." We interviewed him for like an hour and a half, and we're working on trying to get that out as well. So that's kind of what started my documentary thing. And there's a couple other guys in town that I want to interview. That there's a gaffer that worked on Frasier, used to work on Stallone's movies, that lives in the area. And there's a lot of film people here that a lot of people don't realize.
Now, isn't there a guy here? And I don't think he worked on Die Hard.
There was a stunt man, and Madison probably knows a little more. There was somebody that used to work in one of the local theaters that her dad was a stunt man that was actually in Die Hard. That's the only connection that I know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And supposedly he might be the guy that's jumping off the roof with the explosion where he ties the
hose on him.
The hose around him.
I don't know. I haven't heard that. I could Facebook friends and find out who it was pretty quick though.
I've heard that guy lives in Springfield.
Yeah, I don't know.
And they said that there were like 3 guys that had to do it. And none of them know which one is the guy that's actually the one that's jumping off the roof.
Huh, another urban. I've never heard this. I don't know.
We need to find that out. That'd be kind of cool.
I can find out.
But Ronnie Rondell, that's awesome. And why does the Oscars? Why don't they have an Oscar for like the greatest stunt of the year?
I don't know. I signed the petition to get an Oscar for stunts. I think. A lot of my friends and a lot of people.
If you're going to do visual effects, or they do the film that got the best special effects, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they don't give an Oscar to whoever did the best special effect. Like that person doesn't win an Oscar, do they?
Well, they do. They do them for makeup. They do
them for makeup.
Yeah. I don't know.
Costume design.
Yeah, I don't think they necessarily have a special effects coordinator Oscar.
Right.
But for stunt coordinating, it's kind of the same thing. But yeah, I honestly think it's political.
Really?
I think that there's been, a lot of people saying it really needs to be, and everybody knows they need to have an Oscar. But I think a lot of the people are like, well, we're not going to do it. And they're just like, we'll get a petition. We'll get everybody to sign it, and you guys will do it. And they're just like, nope, it's not going to happen. And I honestly think that it's just a political.
So do the stunt, is there a Stunt Guild, I guess?
Yeah, yeah, there's unions and all that.
So the Stunt Guild, do they have their own award that they do throughout the year?
They do. It's called the Taurus Award.
The Taurus Award?
And you can Google Taurus Awards, and it's online. And they do even at the awards ceremony, they do some really amazing stuff. When they present the award, they'll have like a guy walk out in full body burn and hand off the awards. And they do, even at the awards, some of the stunt stuff at the awards are better than some of the low budget movie stuff that the stunt stuff's pretty wild. So, I mean, in the stories that I've watched in documentaries about the awards and people after, and it's good stuff.
There's a YouTube channel called Corridor Crew. Have you watched any of those? And it's called the Stuntmen React segment. And so every now and then they'll bring the stuntmen in to come in and talk about some of these, how they did it and that kind of stuff, and what was really good stunts and who got hurt when they were doing it and all that kind of stuff. It's neat to watch that. Yeah,
it's fun because I think they've got a few different ones where they do like effects and different things and bring guys in. But
well, and like the last film that I did, the Land of Milk and Honey, we had Kurt Heinlein come in and Emily Trent, and they were kind of like the stunt coordinators for the film. And I tell you what, I did all my own stunts in that, and I didn't have too many, but man, I tell you what, I was hurting for.
I'm sure
I was hurting for a couple of weeks, and my knee really hurt, and it still is kind of tender. And that was in October. I mean, those stunt guys, they really put it all out there, and you see what they were doing compared. I wasn't doing hardly anything, but yeah, those stunt guys are no joke. I mean, they some of the hits and the falls and even when we did Buddy Cop, we had a stunt guy on that,
right?
And what was his name?
Ryan Shields.
Ryan Shields,
coordinator.
Yeah, and there was one stunt that was in there that's pretty impressive. I don't know what it looks like yet because I haven't seen the film yet, but that'll be neat to see.
Yeah, it was fun. They all turned out pretty good. So.
Yeah. Okay, we're back. Oh my gosh, this is a user error. So we took a break to go to the bathroom, and Mike had to go out and do a body burn because he was jonesing for a body burn.
That's right.
And we did that. And then we got back, and I hit the button, and it didn't record. So we've been talking for like the last 15 minutes. We had a bunch of really cool stuff that we talked about. Now we're going to have to go back and try to figure out how we do. So let's go in real quick. We were talking about this. We kind of talked about your documentary stuff, the kind of that avenue that you're wanting to go up. You've got some stories that you want to tell that are real life stories of people that are local. Kind of where we go back and we finish up some of those misfit films that never got finished. And you have one that you were just talking about. Talk about the
Best of Friends.
Best of Friends.
It's the film that I wrote mainly to kind of practice and film stuff, but shoot with my son Madison. He was 10 at the time, and it was a story of.
So that was 12 years ago.
12 years ago. Unfinished. One of the few. But so we shot it, and then Madison, it was 10 at the time, played himself with our dog, and had an older actor, another guy play Madison older. And who was actually, the guy that played him was DJP. I don't know if you know who he is. He's a local DJ. He's toured all over the U.S. with big rap artists. Anyways, so we never finished the short film or the film because the dog we had at the time, Stormy, got hit by a car and killed. So that kind of, we shot about 80% of the film, and then it was just like, what do we do? It's over. So the actor, Hemlock, that plays the dad in the film, was in Buddy Cops as a henchman. He asked me, what are you going to do with that? And I said, I don't know. And his idea was, why don't you go back and reshoot the stuff with Madison older, playing himself now and being 22. It's the right age. And I thought, it's brilliant. It's great. We should do it. Because I know, I can't think of the actor's name, but there was an Ethan Hawke movie where they did that. They shot over, they spent like, there was.
Is it Boyhood?
Yeah, something boy, something or boy.
Yeah. It's the same guy that did Dazed and Confused.
Yeah.
Was the director on that.
So I think we're going to try to do that. So having unfinished films, I have 2 or 3 of them, and Best of Friends is one of them. So we're going to try to finish that.
So what'd you film it on originally? Like mini DV?
High 8.
High 8?
And SVHS, which is what I shot my first film on.
So it's really just going back and trying to replicate some of that look and feel.
Yeah, and I think because we'll pull the footage up, and I've looked at a little bit of it, and it's definitely grainy.
Right.
That's a lot of artifacts to where a lot of this old stuff that we release is going to be kind of the lost tapes kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it might be kind of cool to even, because it's a little rougher, to put a filter on it and then shoot everything clean today to where it looks like kind of the old film footage back in the 70s or 80s. So we're going to do that. But anyways, a lot of people have projects that aren't done. So that was a thing. One of the posts I did was, what do you have that's not finished? Like we talked about, let's talk to some of us that do this, and what do you need? What needs to be done?
Let's collaborate.
Yeah. Or you finish it, or do you need help editing it now? Let's see what it would take. I mean, if you have, which is funny, my first film was an hour and a half long, Vial 21. I shot, because the first thing I ever did on SVHS, I shot 24 and a half hours worth of footage.
Oh my gosh.
Because I had no clue what I was doing. I had enough to make like 5 films. But half of the film was the doctor character going to the kitchen making a sandwich every other day. So there was a lot of that. So you learn as you go. They don't have to eat in the shots. So,
well, and I think to me, that seems like it seems like an easy way, not an easy way, but it seems like a very mutually beneficial way. Number one, to get out and start meeting some people that have been working on stuff. Hopefully the podcast has been able to introduce some people that you might didn't know about ahead of time,
right,
that you could get back out and collaborate on a project that you might have floating around out there, that it might need 90, it might be 90% done. It just needs a little bit of help to figure out how to make it into something great,
right,
and some positive feedback on stuff.
Well, like I said, I know Jennifer's got a project that she wants, help editing with, and like I said, I've got 2 or 3, and everybody's got them, and even stuff that people like. Well, I tried to shoot for Sato, but we didn't get done. That it's like, let's just get it finished, so at least you guys can watch it and see what you did.
One of the things I thought would be fun would be to have an event of some sort where even if you don't have it finished, is to get it ready, get it put onto a hard drive, and just have a bunch of people come in and watch it,
right,
and just see if there's some input that could be given to go, hey, you know what? The way we could fix this is by doing this shot here, right, and that'll bridge you and get to this part,
right.
And maybe it's get it as close as you can. You might run into someone that goes, hey, I got a great piece of music that I could put into this to add some of it, and we could have some finished projects. It would be kind of fun. I mean, there's a lot of people that we've reached out to that have reached out to us that want to just have something to be able to put some music on,
right,
and have a piece that they can go out and share out with people that might turn out to be paying gigs for them later on down the road.
Well, you said something about a guy from, what was it, the UK?
Right. We've got a film that we've been working on, and we're almost finished. It's sitting right there on that hard drive right there. And it's got about, I would say it's about 95% done. But there was in one of the Facebook groups, film Facebook groups that I'm on, he reached out to me on a little short film that I did, and he's like, hey, can I write a piece of music for it? And I was like, yeah, sure. And so he wrote a little, quick, like 2-minute song that went with it. Well, then later on, he reached out to me because he was finishing his senior thesis on industrial jazz. And he goes, do you have anything that I could use? He goes, the film group that I work with over here, all the films they put out were junk, and I couldn't write anything for it. And I said, I have a 1940s noir flick that I'm working on right now. You want to take a stab at it? And he's like, yeah, let me see it. So I sent it to him, and he's like, oh yeah, this is perfect. And so he wrote, he scored the whole entire thing for us, and it turned out really cool. So now I just got to finish it out so that it's something that, he can use for whatever. But
and then is he going to let you use the music when you finish it? Or
he said you can use the music and use it on your piece if you want to. So
that's great.
Yeah, it's kind of mutually beneficial.
Yeah.
We can use his music to finish our piece, and we've been able to have something for him that he can push out and say, hey, I've scored a couple of films already.
Right.
And I think that helps. So if there's anybody out there that has a project, what did you set it up as on the Facebook page? I'll link it out once I find it here.
Yeah, it's just on the. I think it might be just to be in the Studio 2060 group, or I don't know where
there's
I
a
posted
group. Studio 2060 group. That's the Studio. I'll put a link out to it.
Okay.
And I think if you, it's got 652 members right now.
Right.
So hopefully we'll get some.
Yeah,
we'll get some bites on that. That'd be good. And then we have Studio 2060 Shorts.
Right.
Is that the other one?
That's the other one.
And those are short film ideas. And that's an invite. And that's got 24 members right now. So get in touch with Mike if you want to be a part of that. That'll be kind of cool.
Yeah. And it's hard to say, we definitely want to talk to you and see what you got, but there's no guarantee that we're not going to guarantee that we'll be able to finish your film, or
let's see what works.
Yeah. Or have a lot of time, because I know, like, I edit, Tom edits, Madison edits, David edits, but I mean it takes, and if you've never edited, it's work. It takes a lot of time. So
it's work, and it's also a slam sometimes to your feelings. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can edit for a long time and you can look at it and go, okay, yeah, this is great. And then somebody else looks at it and goes, this makes no sense to me.
Right.
Right. And it does become a little bit of a punch in the gut. Right. And if you're open to getting punched in the gut and creating something, then get in touch with us. Yeah. It's worth a try, you know?
Well, even for me, the worst is you're editing for like an hour and your computer glitches and you didn't save any of it.
And you lose all of it.
Yeah.
How many times does that happen? Too many,
way
right?
more than I'd like to say. But now I've gotten so nervous that it's like I'll edit for 5 minutes, go save, edit, save. And of course, it auto saves now, which is nice.
What do you edit on?
Premiere.
I
was a Final Cut guy forever.
I still am.
Are you?
Yeah.
I've got 6 or 7 still on one Mac, and then
I just use Final Cut 10, but it's so fast. I mean, I just love.
And I learned Avid Liquid a long time ago.
Oh my gosh!
And it's completely different than everything
Avid
else.
is totally different now.
Liquid was almost like the iMovie of Avid. Avid Liquid was the.
Now they have, is it Avid? It's like Avid Free or whatever they have out. It's like a free open source one they use.
A lot of people like it. They're like, it's Hollywood standard. I'll never use it.
Right.
Mac. I mean, Final Cut and Premiere are similar, but they're kind of backwards from each other too. But
I really, the problem that I initially had with Final Cut was the magnetic timeline where everything just kind of pops. But now I can't imagine not working with that magnetic timeline. It just saves so much time. At first it's hard because you're like, no, I want to put it where I want to put it. And I don't want you to slide it all the way to the left.
Right.
But now
I think you can turn that on and off too, and Premiere has it as well.
Yeah.
But then it's just like, why is there a gap in there?
Yeah.
You have to zoom out the timeline and go in and clean that up and put it back. It's like, because I forget to turn it back on half the time. So you're watching, you'll play, and there's black. I'm like, what is that?
I've gotten to where I enjoy Final Cut. I've been intrigued. I started out with Premiere back the early versions of Premiere. And that was like in college when I learned that stuff. And once I got into like messing with iMovie and moving into Mac, and then I went into Final Cut, my editing really changed for the better doing it that way. And I can't imagine going to Premiere now and like having to. I mean, I've dabbled in DaVinci Resolve, messing with that, but I don't want to start over and relearn.
Even seeing the new versions of Final Cut. That's why I still have 6. I think it's 6 or 7, which was like the full version.
Yeah.
Now it's just like the new version to me of Final Cut is more like iMovie. It's
a lot like iMovie. Yeah.
And it's.
Well, you remember the box that Final Cut like 7 came in?
I still have it in my Mac box.
I mean, that box is bigger than some camera boxes now that come in.
I bought that when I bought my first Mac, which was the white round base with the swivel monitor. That was my first Mac.
Oh my gosh!
I paid more for that than I ever did.
That was like one of the first iMacs, wasn't it?
It wasn't. It might have been after like the color bubble ones.
Yeah.
And I bought it here locally, and I still have it.
So what do you got on the horizon here?
We've got, like you said, Glimmer, which we're trying to raise money to do. and then Jennifer's got another music video, and then like I said, far in the future we've got the Buddy Cops feature, which we're slowly putting together. I think it'll probably be in a year, but and then tons of other stuff. Where the big thing is talking or trying to figure out distribution, because like even with Vincent's Vow, helping produce that, working with Ducon, trying to get it out, get it to the masses, get people to see it, but trying to find a good home for it, be it with a distributor or streaming or whatever, trying to
not only to be able to view it, but to kind of help in recouping some of the cost of the film.
Right, because it's hard to jump into the next one without being able to pay back some of the one you just did. You have to at least get that ball rolling to start the next one.
Right.
It's kind of morally you have to do that,
Yeah, distribution is definitely the bottleneck that's kind of kept a lot of stuff from being able to even be seen.
Right.
And think of how many really good films are probably sitting out there, but you don't even know about it because the distribution was not in the Hollywood circuit of distribution. Everything just kind of gets glossed over.
Again, and a lot of that stuff, it's either with distributors, not paying people and not getting it out, or again, more political hierarchy stuff where people just, if they don't like you or something happened, they just won't put it out. But
right.
With streaming, I think is the new way now. Everybody, even the big Hollywood films during COVID, they're like, we're just going to put it on like the cable channel. I'm like, really? It's not even.
Well, did you see what Amazon did just recently? Amazon shut down where they don't, like before, that was a distribution channel. You could have an independent film and you could send it to Amazon and they would post it out on their Amazon Prime or whatever that you could watch it. Now they don't.
Yeah, I did.
They stopped doing that. Yeah. So I wonder if that's a move by Hollywood to say, hey, we want our films to take precedence over that, and the independent film is maybe going to get dinged. I don't know.
I don't think so, because I feel like productions, like it has been for the last decade, it's moving a lot more towards independence, and a lot of better films are coming out of the independent world. I like some of the Hollywood big budget films. I won't say which ones I like and dislike, but I'm more of an independent film doc kind of guy. And forever, people would ask me, what's your favorite film in the last 10 years? And The Incredibles, the first Incredibles I love that film.
Right.
And they're just like, what about this new super? I'm like, I'm not really interested in it. It's too much spectacle. And,
some of them are a little too, the story is driven by the special effects. It's not driven by the story in general the performance.
Too many crumbling buildings and oversized monsters. I'm like, I'm not really interested in it. If it was models and Godzilla, I'd probably watch that. But I know there's a new Godzilla coming out, but
Godzilla King Kong.
Is it all CG?
It looks like it is.
And I probably won't watch it.
Yeah. And that is well, it's like you said, Incredibles. It was pretty much, it was all CGI, but like Kong versus Godzilla is probably what you'd say about 85% CGI now.
Probably, but for me, because I'm not a huge CGI, it works well. I did a movie in New York called The Aggression Scale, and it should have gone to theaters. It was amazing. Had Ray Wise and Dana Ashbrook, had a lot of Derek Mears, had a lot of name actors and stuff in it, but it didn't go to theaters. It went straight to video and stuff. But it was definitely one of those that should have gone to theaters. And that was one of the first times that working on a film where we did practical effect, people like gunshots and blood splatter, and they enhanced it with CG. And I was just like, man, it worked so well together, and their stuff just made my stuff better.
Really?
So a lot of people are like, and they knew there was CG, but they're like, what was CG? And I was like, well, you see this blood over here on this wall, yeah? So you see all that other blood? That's all digital. So, it definitely has.
What's the name of that one?
The Aggression Scale.
I'll have to watch that one.
We shot it.
Is it like a horror film?
It's kind of an action horror kind of a thing. It's not horror. It's got some...
Like a mystery?
Kind of.
Okay.
It's about a guy that steals some money from the mob.
That sounds interesting. I'll watch that one.
But it had a lot of good actors, and we shot it in upstate New York.
And it was Ray Wise that was in it?
Ray Wise was in it.
I like him. He's really good.
And then Dana Ashbrook, who played Bobby in Twin Peaks, because Ray played the dad.
Oh, yeah.
Bobby was the main boyfriend. So it's funny getting those guys back together. And
oh, that's cool.
Super nice guys. And then there's a movie called Gummo. that main actor, the little boy that played in Gummo, he was one of the bad guys in this. And then Derek Mears is a friend of ours. He played Jason and Predator, and he's done all these big monsters. He was a henchman in it because he started out as a stuntman, became an actor, then started doing it because he's tall.
He's the Jason in the most recent Jason.
He is.
Yes.
But he's a big sci-fi nerd, super nice guy. But he played a henchman in this just as himself, and he's a great actor. I mean, for what he does. So he does a lot of stuff. But it was a fun movie. And for me, I felt like, holy cow, all the movies and stuff that I've done, that one definitely should have gone to theaters because it would have done really well.
Huh. I'll have to watch that one. That sounds really good. Well, Mike, I think we have covered just about everything that we can cover today.
I know. I thought we can ramble forever.
We can ramble, and we'll probably ramble a little bit after we get off here. Yeah. But I really want to thank you for coming on. This has been awesome. And we need to get Madison on here because I want to pick Madison's brain about his life, because it has been a life of working with you on stuff, but now he's really moving into becoming a director. He was first AD on Vincent's Vow, right?
Yep.
And then he directed the buddy cop film. He directed just the last thing with Jennifer Battelle, and he's got his own little projects that he's working on too. And I'd love to get him in and kind of pick his brain because he's a little bit of a gearhead too, isn't he?
He is. He knows a little bit of everything too. Yeah.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
That's right.
That's how we roll around here.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, Mike, thanks so much for being on here, man. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it. I'm just a nobody wanting to make movies. So
Whatever.
I appreciate you having me.
Whatever. This is the beautiful Mike Strain. It's been a great time having you on here. You take care.
Keep it up. Keep up the good work. We love the podcast. So.
Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
You have been listening to the Bravo Creative Podcast. Analysis of your biometrics have been compiled and calculated. You are now a minuscule part of the collective. Enjoy the rest of your pitiful day.